Good morning.
Good morning, Roshi.
Please forgive my casual attire as I do not have time to frock and defrock today. Why is this going to be the best talk you've ever heard?
Because you're giving it right now?
That's right. Because this is the only talk that you're hearing right now. Makes it the best talk. I remember when I first started my Zen practice, I heard Dharma talks are dark to the mind, but radiant to the heart. So you shouldn't necessarily try to figure them out. You should just see how they resonate with you. And also, I heard you should treat the Dharma talk as if it's been prepared solely for you, even if there's 20 people in the room or 200. So this Dharma talk is just for you. And I was pondering what to talk about today, and one of you was in Duksan this morning and had a koan about the wind. And then the staff were asking me to give a talk about capacity and build on the talk last week about pushing beyond your perceived limitations, right? Right? So between those two things, inspiration struck. And I thought I would discuss a koan with you, which goes as follows. Two monks were arguing over a flag. One was saying that the flag was moving. One was saying that the wind was moving. The master walked past and said, "It is your minds that are moving." Now, what does that koan have to do with capacity or our self-imposed limitations? Does anyone have any thoughts on that? It is not the wind nor the flag that is moving, it is your mind that is moving. Go ahead.
You wouldn't be able to perceive the wind or the flag moving without your mind?
That's true. If you were not alive, or if you were blind, maybe you could perceive it with your ears. If you were a squirrel who's not looking up at the flag, we talked about the six realms last week, right? If you don't have a human mind with your five senses, you can't even perceive the flag. So I like that answer very much. That's correct. Why else does this koan, and the teacher's instruction in particular, point to our ability to move beyond our supposed limitations?
Everything is preceded by mind.
You sound like you're quoting scripture.
I'm quoting the scripture in Ryan McGinty's bathroom.
Yeah. Well, back in the days before toilet paper, and those of you that have been in wilderness therapy have probably experienced this too. There's other ways to deal with bathroom issues. And there's a pretty well-known, very irreverent koan, which is someone asked the master, "What is Buddha?" And he says, "A shit stick." Or we would say in our normal modern days, toilet paper. God bless you. How can toilet paper be awakening? It's gross. Even before we use it, it's gross. Because we know what it's going to be used for. How can that be awakening? How can that be enlightenment?
Better than using your hand.
For sure. But everything is our enlightened nature. It does not exclude anything. Including, by the way, our anger, our unreasonability, the limitations that we do put upon ourselves, the limitations we put upon others, our tendency to argue, our need to be right. I only digressed into that other koan because you mentioned seeing that wisdom in a bathroom, and there's wisdom to be found in a bathroom. There's wisdom to be found everywhere. In this particular koan, the wisdom is to be found in the master pointing something out, which is that each monk has a particular point of view that they are very stuck in. The wind is moving. The flag is simply responding to the fact that the wind is moving. No, it's not. The flag is moving. You can see it plain as day, the flag flapping around. No, it's not. It's the wind that's moving. No, it's not. It's the flag that's moving. I want you all just to pause for a second and consider a fixed position that you currently have. And by the way, you're probably right, just for the record. I believe in all of you. I think you're probably right. And the other person's probably wrong. But think about a fixed position you have that someone else has a different position, and there's an argument about it, whether it's in your mind or in reality. Everyone got one? So then the master walks by and says, it is your minds that are moving, which is true of any argument. It's all in your mind. You may be right, but it's all in your mind. There is no objective truth. What color is my shirt?
White.
It's white, but that's true. But why is it white? It's white because we've all agreed that we're going to call this white. Where are we sitting right now? The Zendo. But if everyone from the minute you walked in this room had been told that this is the Neptune tent, it would be the Neptune tent, correct?
Yes.
I can introduce myself a lot of ways. One noise that is associated with me is Josh. One noise that is associated with me is Dad. One noise that is associated with me is Dainin, which is my Dharma name. Once you become a teacher, people very rarely address you by your Dharma name anymore. They tend to use Sensei or eventually Roshi. So that's another way to introduce myself as Roshi. I was just at a family reunion, and mostly I was called Cousin Josh. If you all were calling me Cousin Josh, it would be weird. But in my family, your Auntie Betsy, your Cousin Chris, your whatever. You want to take this over to Cousin Josh for me? You want to take that over to Uncle Frank for me? That's how it is. That's how it is done. My dad, even in that environment, is called Frank or Uncle Frank or Gigi, depending on the person. It's all relative. It actually jars me a little bit when my wife refers to me as by my name, because we usually use pet names with each other. So it's really weird. She also gets very upset with her when I refer to her by a pet name at work. So I have to be like, oh, Maureen makes a good point, right? So again, what does any of this have to do with capacity? What I'm trying to point to here is that all of our opinions depend upon our point of view, and they all depend upon our cultural take as well. There are people in this room from all different places. Is there anyone in this room from California? Okay, so growing up in California.
I did not grow up in California.
Well,
I guess I did.
Okay, so think about the California vibe, though.
Okay.
If I say, I'm going to kill that guy,
Okay.
what would you suppose from me saying that?
Depends on who you are.
You're not from California.
That's right, I grew up in Boston.
Okay, even better. That's where I grew up. What does it mean when you're from Boston? You say, I'm going to kill that guy.
It just means you're annoying.
Exactly. Exactly. So when I was in grad school, I dated someone. Don't tell Maureen that I dated anyone before her. She doesn't know. But I did date someone from California. And I was very frustrated with her. We were in a fight. Sometimes couples get in fights. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Every now and then. And I was mad, and when I get mad, I tend to get quiet. And she goes, what are you thinking right now? And I said, it's not worth it. And she was like, what are you thinking? I need to know what you think. I was like, I want to freaking kill you. And she went white as a sheet and she goes, you're a black belt. You really could kill me. I don't feel safe. Right? The very next day, and I did apologize to her because I obviously didn't want to make her feel unsafe or uncomfortable, but it's a figure of speech that I grew up with that means nothing. Literally the next day, I went back to Boston to visit my family, and my best friend picked me up at the airport. First words out of his mouth, I go, hey, how you doing? He goes, I want to kill my boss, but other than that, I'm good. And I was like, thank you. Just depends on your point of view.
Yes.
When I was younger, I used to assume that people understood me and that I understood them. And that the exception was when we did not understand each other. As I have grown older and suffered through bitter experience, I now assume that you do not understand me and I do not understand you. And if we do understand each other, I'm very happy and I take the W, but I assume that we do not understand each other.
What's that one?
Pardon me? Oh, you want me to repeat it because you didn't understand me? That's very good. Very sharp. And so it's interesting, like a little embarrassing, but I realized a few years ago that my wife and I, who both have degrees in psychology, master's degrees, and are both Buddhist teachers, are terrible communicators. We just don't communicate well. Now, we don't fight a lot and we get along. We get along great, but we do not communicate well. So, for example, this morning, we had got a car issue today. Hey, did you confirm with your mom you can borrow her car? No, I didn't, but I'll just go get it. I go, well, I'm going to pickleball, and then I'm going to Red Mountain, so why don't I take you over there now to get it? She goes, well, I can just walk. And I was like, you know it's going to be stupid hot out. She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. But that's, after 23 years together, that's actually a very sophisticated interaction for us. Because the way it could have gone would have been, I'm stuck at home without a car. Well, you said you were borrowing your mom's car. Well, you were supposed to, you know. It's good to have people repeat what you said to them. It's good to repeat what you heard them say. So far my conversation with you all today has been all about how we interact with other people. These two monks are having an argument. It's a pretty silly argument. And as is typical when we look at koans, the teacher is trying to point to what? Stop obsessing over theoretical arguments. Let go of your subjective point of view. So let's talk about how that applies to our conversations with ourselves. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys are aware, but psychologically, we are all conjoined twins. Every single one of us has got another head growing out of our body. It's just we can't see it. And you are interacting with that person all day. Some of us have several. We talk about the devil and angel on your shoulder, you know? Well, I think we ought to do this. It'll be super fun. Well, I think we ought to not do that because it will not help us meet our goals.
That sounds like anxiety.
Sure. Say more about that.
I'm okay.
Oh, you just want me to
sounds
talk
like
about
anxiety.
it?
It's a great example right there of some anxiety.
Right. Yes, it's very anxiety-provoking when you don't know what to do. To digress for a moment, I will give you the formula. When you don't know what to do, my teacher taught me this, don't do anything. Because most decisions make themselves. You just can be patient. And I would nuance that even further, which is that a decision implies a certain level of unknown and risk. Better to draw conclusions. How do you draw conclusions? Through gathering data and the passage of time. And sometimes you have to make a conclusion really quickly. If suddenly there's a fire breaks out, we're all going to try to get out of here. We're not going to sit there and think about it. But most things that are bothering you will solve themselves. Most of the things that you're worried about are not going to happen. Our son told us about this, he's a rising senior in college, and he's got an opportunity because he's done a couple of internships for the government. And someone took notice and is considering him for some international work after he graduates. Well, for him, I really want him to do that because it'll be great for him. Selfishly, he's our only child. I don't want him to go abroad. I want him to be closer. And also, I worry a little bit about him because, not to get into politics, but it's just true. Not everyone is super fond of Americans at the moment when you go abroad. So it seems a little dangerous to me. But I caught myself yesterday thinking about it. And I was like, dude, why don't you worry about this if he gets the gig? In like 2 years. But you all chuckle because we all do it. This is just the human condition. So the point I'm trying to drive at is that if you are kind of going, that situation will never get better, no, don't be so sure. If your position is, I could never do that. I could never have a stable relationship. I could never get any sober time. I could never complete this program. I could never have a meaningful job. I could never become a Zen teacher. Listen. This is not about me whatsoever, but I'm just telling you that the Dharma works. I have been applying the Dharma to my life for 30 years and practicing very judiciously and taking advantage of teachers that offered their time and their teaching. And I can't think of anything that I've wanted to accomplish that I've not accomplished. And again, I say that with all humility. It's to do with taking on a practice that works. And there's a 12-step practice and there's therapy and other things too, but this practice for me is very effective. It keeps me from giving up. It keeps me from losing my temper. It keeps me from, I have some clients who run a hedge fund and they constantly use the word optionality. There's no holier word in hedge fund world than optionality. Well, we really need to have optionality. What that means is they're trying to not draw premature conclusions. They're trying to leave their options open until it's very clear what they need to do. And believe it or not, this practice, I believe, creates tremendous optionality for you. Because if you can keep your damn mouth shut when you're upset, most things don't compound and get worse. And yet, if you can recognize, I am upset and I need to address it with this person. I just need to calm down first and have a strategy, and then you go do that. I had that going on with another client where some things have occurred that I'm not happy with. And I took a couple days to craft a very precise email. I spent a lot of time on it. I don't usually spend a lot of time on emails, but I did it very intentionally. Because I didn't want to just say, I'm mad. I wanted to say, this is what I'm upset about. These are the agreements we have that are not being kept. These are the things I need in order to move forward. I'm not accusatory, just clear. I want to be super clear about this. I'm not suggesting when you're upset that you don't take action. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying go to the cushion first. Let the dust settle first. Draw a conclusion and then execute.
All of those things that I think I can't do.
Yes.
How do I let go of those?
How do you let go of the things you think you can't do?
Those negative self-beliefs, I can't be, I'll never be in a healthy relationship or have a job that I find fulfilling.
That's a great question. Well, I'm not a big believer in trying to let things go.
Okay.
First of all.
Love it.
I think it's a very damaging concept. Because you have all probably heard let it go from therapist or from a well-meaning family member or someone.
Disney princess.
Pardon me?
From a Disney princess.
Exactly. I remember very distinctly, like it was yesterday. I remember I was abroad the first semester of my junior year in college, and while I was gone, because I was young and had no relationship skills, my girlfriend and I broke up. The intention had been to stay together and be together when I got back. And I was devastated. And when I got back, I was talking with a friend of mine about it, and I just remember it like it was yesterday. He was like, you have to let it go. You have to let it go. And it just felt so not resonant to me. It's like, I don't you think I would if I could? You think I'm tormenting myself on purpose? I think when we try to push things away, it just gives them more power. So there's a reason why the Beatles song Let It Be is so popular, other than that it's got a very catchy melody. So I would encourage you to start where you are, that you have these fears and doubts, and sit with them. And I would encourage you to inquire. The Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, the things you don't want to look at, sit on the cushion and imagine that you have a little home and the trouble is knocking on the door, and instead of being like, go away, you welcome it in and you serve it tea and you get to know it. Tell me more about yourself. Tell me what you're here to teach me. You're welcome here. So start with those doubts and fears and get to know them. Because, by the way, most of our limiting beliefs at some point in time kept us safe. So they have utility. It's very hard to let them go. But letting them be and getting to know them better and having them not run you. Does that resonate?
That's really good.
Thank you. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It reminds me also of, as most of you know, my transmitting teacher, Dainin Roshi, passed away in November, and I was with him for 18 years. But I studied with Shishin Roshi in Boulder for 7 years and lived at his place. Very influential person in my life. He used to talk about this. Those things that bother you, it's like a dog. And right now it's a bull mastiff. Big dog. Woo! Big sound. Wake you up in the middle of the night. When you go to walk it, it pulls you all over the place.
Correct.
It will not behave. But you guys are going to think this is cute. My dear, sweet 82-year-old father has a Maltipoo, which is a cross of a Maltese and a poodle. Mm-hmm. Very little. Her name's Maisie. And when Maisie is upset, guess what noise she makes?
Screech.
So, over time with this practice, these problems and concerns, they shrink. They don't go away, and they don't become not a dog. But it's a little dog, and you could be like, shh, shh, shh. Rather than, oh, I'm getting dominated by this dog.
I feel like I'm like a dog walker. Right?
Correct. And you have a lot of big dogs that are pulling you at all.
Neighbors, like 27 dogs.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So these conundrums you have, I think it's, and again, as with everything I ever say, you know, the Buddha said, be a light unto yourself. And there's a saying at the end of an intensive practice period, the head practitioner always gives a talk. And the tradition is at the end of that talk, it's usually the first talk they've ever given. And they say, may all the oceans in the world wash my words from your ears. It's a very humble way of saying, I'm new at this and I don't really know if what I said was helpful. But I feel that way, even as a very seasoned teacher. If it doesn't resonate, totally okay. What I'm trying to share with you guys is what I have learned, what's been passed down to me of the Dharma, what I have experienced as a human and what I've observed working with students is that it seems like when we bring these things to the cushion, our relationship with them changes. I will always have ADHD. I will always have childhood trauma and attachment issues. I will always be a person in recovery. But those things don't run me today. My life is much more choice-based today. And the biggest one for me is that I've got a wicked temper. I know I don't seem like it. Probably nobody in this room has seen me lose my temper. Have you ever seen me lose my temper? We've known each other a while. Have you? Oh, he has. That's because he's been in certain rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was about?
No, I can only think of a handful of times, but not specific.
It passes pretty quickly though, right? And usually I'm just venting behind closed doors and then I don't go like light anything on fire, right? Yeah. So progress, not perfection.
I bet it was about his roommate.
What's that?
I bet it was about his roommate years ago.
It was probably about him.
I was about to say.
No, he was a good boy, and when he wasn't, he was sneaky enough that we didn't really know.
I know the ways.
If you want to learn about how to get away with stuff, he's a good person to talk to. But so I rarely lose my temper, and when I do, it's pretty quick and move on. But I tell you, and I'm sure everyone in this room and everyone watching has got an example of a time where you lost your temper and it was very regrettable. I'm allergic to anger. It causes me to break out in handcuffs. No? You guys don't like that one?
Oh, I get it.
Same thing happens with alcohol. But I used to run a domestic violence perpetrator group. That was super interesting. You want to know the phrase that got repeated multiple times a group, the whole year I did it? I should have walked away. Over and over and over and over and over. I should have walked away. All the regrettable things we do, most of them are because we're mad and we're looking to discharge. But when we come to the cushion, we just let it settle. It will settle. You just have to have the discipline to sit. And the same is true of all the things that are bothering you, all the perceived limitations. Now, a closing thought. I find name dropping to be incredibly obnoxious, so I do it a lot. I happen to be friends with Corbin Carroll, who plays for the Diamondbacks. Well, friendly would be a better description. No matter what I do, I'm never going to be as fast as Corbin. He is the fastest player in the elite baseball league of the world, and he's 24, and I'm 49.
Not Pete Carranza.
Yeah, I was about to say PCA is faster.
PCA is not faster by sprint speed than CC7. Look it up.
Really, man?
Neither is Chandler Simpson.
Way faster.
So back to I don't want you guys to be delusional about like, I will become, the emperor. But hey, sitting in this very chair a few months ago was Chris Kale, my dear friend who plays bass in the second biggest heavy metal band in the world. And he's got a pretty cool story about how he got that gig. And by the way, he's kept the gig by having endurance and living by spiritual principles and not freaking out because it's a very stressful job. So I don't believe in putting limits on ourselves generally. As long as it's not, well, I'm going to be an elite athlete, or if you're not, or well, I'm going to be a trillionaire. There's only one trillionaire in the history of humanity. Probably none of us are going to be the second one. But if you set your mind to it, there's no reason you can't be a millionaire. There's nobody stopping you. So,
The IRS.
Hey, they want you to be a millionaire because they're going to get 30% of that million.
Ethics.
You got to make 1.3 before you get to year one. Render under Caesar what is Caesar's. But my point is, you can do more than you think. I didn't know if I was going to become a Zen teacher, but I am one. Why? Just showing up, being consistent. I didn't know if I'd have a master's degree. I didn't know if this place would exist. Every time I come here, it reminds me, don't put any limits on yourself. Any questions or comments?
What if your limiter, you're aware as a limiter, and on one hand you're trying to balance not letting it limit you. On the other hand, if you are proven right about why you're limiting yourself, I'll stop talking in vague terms. I'm autistic,
I understand that.
and I'm afraid of burnout, autistic burnout specifically, which is unique.
Correct.
One of the main parts is losing skills permanently.
Correct.
And so, like, if I'm proven right, there's not really coming back from that.
No, listen, this would actually be a great part 2. Next week, if you guys like, I could talk about accepting your limitations. Shall we do that? Because I need something to talk about next week anyway.
Sounds great.
This is a perfect time to tell you my joke. What do you call 2 piers jutting into the water? A paradox.
Sure.
And by the way, nice.
Oh!
That was very good. And by the way, in my opinion, life is one big paradox. And this practice is the only that I have found, I'm not saying it's the only one, the one that I have found that most unlocks that particular door. That 2 things are true at once. The relative and the absolute, form and emptiness, me and you, the past and the future, heaven and hell, whatever. There's all of these dualities that are actually just paradox, 2 sides of the same coin. So we've talked today about how to move past your limitations. Let's talk next week about accepting limitations, because that's just the other side of this. And in Zen, we're very interested in what's the other side. Does that sound good? Okay, well, we'll see you all then. If you're still here, please like and subscribe. Oh, and hype. There's a new thing, hype.
I don't know what
On
that
YouTube.
is.
Basically, like, the more YouTube you watch, the more hype points you get. And then you can spend your hype points. So, like, has there ever been a video that you're like, it's okay, I guess I'll like it? Or then there's another video you're like, that is so amazing, I wish I could like it 10 times. That's what hype is.
I think I'm just on an older version of YouTube.
We should get on Sedona Zen Center and just hype. All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Roshi.